How's it going, everybody? So in this video I'm going to address a topic that I've been wanting to address for a very long time, but I've kind of put it off because it's a sensitive subject both legally and emotionally, and it's just not empowering, I suppose. But because I have such extensive knowledge on this, and because it is very important for for everybody in this world, I suppose I should make this video anyway, okay? I'm gonna do my best. It's comprehensive, it's very complicated, and I'm afraid most people won't want to listen. I don't know. It's hard. But anyway, I'm gonna get it out anyway. Alright, so check this out. So listen. It's very important for you to, okay, so doctors are not evil, they're not bad, but a lot of their procedures, their surgery, their medication can do far more harm than good, okay? I think that we all know this and doctors acknowledge this. The thing is, because doctors are not they're not well educated in all aspects of healing. They don't understand what diseases can be healed without surgery and drugs, and what diseases definitely need surgery and drugs. And so what happens is somebody might come in to their clinic with like a gallbladder issue, or a kidney issue, and these issues can be healed using nutritional, supplemental, and lifestyle factors. A lot of times it's medications or other things that are actually causing these problems in the first place, but doctors are not aware of these non-evasive remedies or these ways of healing, even more severe gallbladder or kidney diseases. They're not aware of these more gentle, I guess, natural approaches. And so they're under the impression that, kidney disorders and gallbladder disorders and, liver issues and other things, liver disorders, thyroid disorders, whatever it may be, doctors are, 9 times out of 10, they're uneducated in all the different ways that you can heal these issues without using drugs or surgery. And so because they're not aware of these things, and because a lot of doctors close their mind off to anything other than what they learned in medical school or what they read in a mainstream health article, they tell their patients that drugs or surgery are the only way, or at the very least they infer that, or they give off that impression. And so, patients are left with this idea that, their disease is irreversible, okay, and that drugs and surgery are the only way. And this is not good. It's not good, number one, because, there are so many different specializations, so many different bodies of science outside of what the doctor knows, and the doctor assumes just because he's not aware of these things that they don't exist. He doesn't go out of his way to research these things, partly because he doesn't have enough time. The other part is because, having a medical license is a very sensitive thing, and I've talked to doctors who have told me this, that even if they did know other ways, there's always a risk of losing their medical license for prescribing or recommending anything outside of, medicine, drugs and surgery. So, it spreads misinformation and gives people the wrong idea. And this wouldn't be a bad thing if drugs and surgery didn't cause more harm than good, okay? Or if drugs and surgery really were the only resort. There are some severe cases where the only option truly is drugs or surgery. But, 85% of the time, that's not the case. We don't really give our body enough credit, I guess you can say, or just doctors are not aware of the vast body of information and evidence and other things. And a large amount of diseases that they think are irreversible actually can be reversed through nutritional protocols, meaning a specific system of eating, removing certain foods and adding certain foods, or, certain herbs or supplements or other things, and even some drugs, certain isolated compounds. There are ways that you can actually reverse a lot of these conditions. And so, a lot of people might say like, oh, diabetes and heart disease can be reversed with nutrition, which it can. It's a scientific fact, depending on how severe it is, and what type of heart disease or diabetes it is. But they might say like, yeah, those can be reversed. But, my thyroid, my Hashimoto's thyroiditis or whatever, my inflamed thyroid, it can't be reversed without surgery or radioactive iodine or whatever, But the fact is, like, there are cases of people actually reversing this and without surgery or whatever, and drugs. And there's also a lot of science that kind of points to mechanistic causes of these thyroid issues that support the anecdotes. So there's a lot of scientific weight behind that. So what I'm saying is, people, there's a couple sides to this. There's the people who believe that surgery and drugs are the only way and nutrition plays no role, which is absolutely ridiculous. Those people, there's no way they could have a college degree if they're thinking on such a childish and unscientific level. Like, those people are completely unaware of all the scientific literature and the mechanistic data behind disease and physiology. That first bracket of people are just lost, okay? Then there's the bracket of people who have read, a large majority of the science, usually the most certain science, which is fine. And they know, like, okay, they acknowledge, like, yes, heart disease can be reversed in a lot of cases. Type 2 diabetes can be reversed in a lot of cases. And obviously, obesity can be reversed as long as it's not caused by hormonal and other issues. But, polycystic ovarian syndrome, there's no cure for that. Or, thyroid issues, no cure for that. Gallbladder issues, no cure for that, yada, yada. And I'm generalizing here. But the fact is, a lot of those conditions can be reversed. For example, polycystic ovarian syndrome is a hormonal imbalance, and a lot of times when women get on birth control, they develop polycystic ovarian syndrome, or cysts and fibroids and other issues, as well as even tumors in their endocrine organs, such as the uterus, etc. And if they just remove the birth control, their symptoms improve or go away altogether. But a lot of doctors, for some reason, don't inform their patients that, hey, it's the birth control. And a lot of doctors actually convince their patients, hey, this birth control is actually, reversing your hormonal imbalance, which is absolutely asinine, because it is a exogenous hormone, or it acts like an exogenous hormone, which is in balance, and you're trying to solve a hormonal imbalance with imbalance. Whereas there are other remedies or drugs or supplements or herbs or just nutritional protocols or other actions you can take to help the body reverse that naturally to where you don't have to rely on birth control or a drug. Okay, some people actually have used birth control to reverse polycystic ovarian syndrome. But the problem with that is because birth control is an exogenous compound or an exogenous hormone, you could say, it can shift your body too much in the other direction. And the bottom line is, like, you're band-aiding the problem rather than fixing it. And there are some very simple ways to balance hormones without using drugs or exogenous hormones, depending on what's causing it. But doctors are unaware, and the average citizen in our society, they just want to be told what to think, and they're not told how to think. And so therefore they expect their doctors to know everything, and they just trust them blindly because they don't know how to think critically about it. They don't know how to conduct their own intelligent research behind it. And ultimately they end up with worse problems than they started with. There's people who use birth control to reverse acne, and it's like trading acne for hormonal imbalances, which is asinine. So then you have things like gallbladder issues, which are more complex, but there's a lot of side effects associated with removing the gallbladder. Okay, when you remove any organ, if you remove your tonsils, you become more susceptible to infections, and any infection you might have is going to be a lot more severe than if you would have kept your tonsils in. If you have inflammation of the tonsils, tonsillitis or whatever, removing the tonsils is stupid because, inflammation is generally caused by some type of infection or excessive coughing or something of that nature. And you can actually kill the infection. If you want to use antibiotics, that's fine, but that's actually harmful. But you can actually use garlic if you prepare it properly. But most people, of course, don't believe in garlic, and so they end up doing crazy, like inhumane procedures, removing their tonsils, right? Like you get chronic infections, and then you think removing your tonsils is the answer. I have friends that remove their tonsils due to chronic infections, and the infections only get worse, and they get cysts and things inside their throats afterwards, but they don't want to admit, like, oh, there's other ways I could have gone about that, and, they don't want to improve. It's really sad. It's really crazy. People with thyroid disorders, they take radioactive iodine, which destroys the thyroid. When your thyroid is gone, the thyroid is part of an entire system of hormonal organs, the endocrine system, the HPA axis. You have the thyroid, the adrenal glands, you have the pituitary gland, and then this all is connected with the ovaries in women or the testicles, and producing all sorts of hormones in the pituitary gland, the brain. You'll have mood disorders. Your whole entire metabolism is going to be shifted in imbalance by removing any of those organs, especially the thyroid, because the thyroid controls how fast or how slow your metabolism goes. And when we talk about metabolism, we talk about digestion, we talk about the thought process, okay? This is all metabolism, and it all deals with the thyroid. Too much thyroid activity will speed up all of this. You'll get skinny, you'll have diarrhea, you'll have anxiety and anxious thoughts, because everything's speeding up. If you have sluggish thyroid, your thought process will be slow, digestion will be slow, you'll have constipation, you'll be fat because your body's ability to burn fat is going to be a lot slower, you could say. And so when you remove the thyroid altogether, you're pretty much dead unless you supplement with thyroid hormone and other drugs. But you're pretty much dead at that point. And I know the thing is, anybody listening to this who has gotten surgery, they got anything removed, it's going to be hard to hear this, and probably a lot of this information is not going to help you. It's only going to make you feel down and disempowered. And there is hope, okay? There are ways to sustain your life and have a good quality of life. But reality is, I mean, if you have had surgically removed organs or something, you probably shouldn't be listening to this. There's better ways to go about life than to listen to the harsh reality of what's going on at this point. But it's important to know this information so that you don't get suckered into these things. Because people think, oh, it's no big deal. I can live a normal life after I remove my testicles, or get a vasectomy, or remove my ovaries, or whatever it is. But no, like, you don't want to get surgery unless you absolutely have to. And 9 times out of 10, there's probably other ways, okay? But if your life is on the line and you're like about to die or something, it's probably better that you go with your doctor's suggestions, and I'm not a doctor, and you should probably follow your doctor's recommendations and always see a doctor if you have any kind of serious medical problem. But these are just kind of like my opinions, I guess, and through all the research I've done, etc., and the things I've observed. But, follow your doctor's advice. Don't follow me. These are just my thoughts, okay? But as far as things like gallbladder, right? Like, somebody gets their gallbladder removed. Well, what happens without a gallbladder? And there's many things happen when you remove the thyroid. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface on that. But if you learn what the thyroid is for and how it works in synergy with the rest of the body, you should be able to put the pieces together yourself. But when you talk about gallbladder, without a gallbladder, you're going to have vitamin A deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. Your body's going to have an impossible time digesting fats. Your entire digestive system's going to be out of whack. You'll probably have acid reflux or pH imbalances in the gut, which cause acid problems. It puts you more susceptible to intestinal infections and worms and parasites, which are a real thing, medically, scientifically, okay? We know this is a fact. People with compromised immune systems, and the gallbladder plays an important role in regulating your immunity, your intestinal immunity to these things. The acidity of your stomach plays an important role in this, and they're all affected by removing any of those organs, the liver, the gallbladder, etc. So you're more susceptible to all sorts of different infections in the intestine and in the stomach. You're just not going to feel good. You're going to be bloated. You're going to have malabsorption, nutrient deficiencies of all kinds, and it's going to play a role in glucose metabolism. And without being able to digest, without being able to absorb and metabolize fat-soluble vitamins, which the gallbladder plays an immediate direct role in, without vitamin D and all these fat-soluble nutrients, you're going to run into a multitude of problems. Hormonal problems are affected by this because you don't have enough vitamin D, magnesium, or vitamin D and vitamin A. Your bones, osteoporosis, without vitamin A and vitamin D, how are you going to be able to, construct healthy bones? They're important for mineral metabolism. And deficiency of cholesterol and healthy fats. Now, I'm not talking about any kind of dogma related to like meat eating and shit. What I'm talking about is your body's ability to create its own cholesterol. The gallbladder and liver work in synergy to create cholesterol and to metabolize these fat-soluble nutrients. And so, without a gallbladder, your liver might possibly have trouble creating its own natural cholesterol. And you can forget about even being able to digest or metabolize cholesterol from your diet to begin with. So, and not to mention fat metabolism, cholesterol metabolism, and vitamin A metabolism, dietary vitamin A. They all play a role in your body's ability to absorb vitamin D from the sunlight. So without a gallbladder, you run into a lot of serious problems. And I don't know why people aren't able to like process all this, but I've spoken to doctors before, and generally it's because I guess a lot of people don't want to change their lifestyle habits. And so like without surgery or drugs, they probably would just waste away and die because they don't want to change their habits. The other part of it is it's a lot harder, it's more time consuming, it's more complex. It'll take a specialist, which requires more money. A lot of times insurance doesn't cover this. And then also they might lose their medical license. And then beyond that, most doctors are not educated in all of this stuff, but a lot of them are. And going through medical school, you should be able to understand the biology of the gallbladder. I mean, it's simple stuff. But so I mean, this whole drug and surgery versus natural remedy thing, I mean, I don't want it to be a battle of like doctors versus like naturopaths or something, like allopathic medicine versus alternative medicine. It's not like that at all. It's just, what does the science say? It's what do these medications do? What are the mechanisms behind things? It's physiology versus science, or physiology versus imbalance, I guess. And doctors do a great thing. They do their best. Most doctors, they pursue a degree in medicine because, well, for one, it's a good paying job. For two, it's much better than the average person's job. For three, it's they get to help people. Okay, the main thing is a lot of doctors really want to help people. So, I mean, they come from a good place and they save a lot of people, because the bottom line is, I've noticed, like, most people just don't want to accept that their habits create their health and their reality. So imagine, a healthcare system where we tried to coach, our patients, like, to get better habits to reverse the diseases. How many people would do that? A lot of people would rather die than give up their cheeseburgers and things, and that's unfortunate. And the reality is, a lot of people do die because they don't give up these things. It's not funny either. It hurts me a lot. It really does hurt me, because people choose to go that route. They're closed off to these ideas, and they're a lot of times just emotionally triggered by it. They're not even open to the possibility that maybe I have a point. They're not even researching these things, not even looking into it themselves. So, yeah, it's sad. And doctors do their best to do what they can with what they've got, for people, that will only do the minimum, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I hope this helps some people. If you've watched this entire video, please let me know down in the comments. Like, just say, hey, I watched the entire video all the way through. Let me know what you think about this. I'll read everybody's comments. I appreciate it all. Thank you very much. Have a good day.